You're good to go, Jody. First item on our agenda is we're going to have our call to order and then our roll call. So Jody.
Yep. Corey Herbert.
Here.
Tara Shaver.
Here.
Ann Inman.
Here.
Paul Guckenberger. Paul Guckenberger. Charles Bischoff.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
All right. We'll note that Paul is here. We just can't hear him right now. So,
Yep.
all right. So we're going to move into our new business that we have. First item on the agenda here is, Jody, for clarification, we need to pass the resolution first. Is that correct?
That's correct. This resolution allows us to actually conduct a remote meeting in times of a public health emergency.
Okay. Then we will look here at passing the resolution 2020-01. And I believe we can do this with just do we have to do a roll call vote for this?
I'm going to do roll call votes just so I have everybody for sure recorded as voting.
Okay. Then
Are there any questions on that
before we do
resolution?
that, yeah, well, let's open it up. If anybody has any questions or comments about this, now would be your chance.
On page 2, second paragraph, whereas the purpose of this resolution is to create new provisions of the board's rules and procedures in order to allow remote participation during the current public health emergency. Should it not just state public health emergency, as it does up in the last paragraph of page 1?
No, it says the current public health emergency because this is complying with the governor's executive order. And so the executive order is written, allows the virtual meetings for as long as that executive order is in place. And once that's lifted, then this rule will be dissolved as well. So it's complying with the language of the executive order, which is pretty specific to just this current pandemic.
All right. Sounds good to me, Mitch. Thanks.
All right, unless anybody else has any questions. Jody, I'll turn it over to you.
Yep. Do I have a motion to adopt that?
This is Ann Inman. I move to adopt resolution number 2020-1 as is written.
Thank you. A second?
Tara Shaver, I second.
Thank you. Corey Herbert,
4.
Tara Shaver,
4.
Ann Inman,
4.
Paul Guckenberger,
4.
Charles Bischoff.
4.
Thank you. That motion carries.
All right. Then we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, which is VAR 20-01. So I will turn it back over to Jody for our staff report.
Thank you. This request is a development standards variance request, and this does require a public hearing. As per typical, you can approve, conditionally approve it, continue this request, or deny the request. The zoning ordinance will only allow more than one principal building on lots that are zoned C4, I4, and SC. The school's property is zoned R1. Now the property and the school buildings were originally approved through the county, and so it's a previously existing legally conforming use. However, the schools wishes to remodel one of the buildings and then add on to a second building. That increases the nonconformity, which you cannot do without this variance. So that's why we are asking for this. That's why they're asking for this request. And we're recommending approval because all 5 of the findings have been met. So the location map, hopefully you received this in your packet, but here's the property, White Oak and Maple Schools. This is the railroad tracks, Avon Avenue. I hope you can see my cursor here, US 36.
Hey, Jody, I don't know if we can see your PowerPoint presentation.
Let me make sure I've got,
Yeah, Jody, you're not sharing your screen.
oh, shoot. Shoot. Sorry about that.
There we go.
Okay, well, the first stuff was just words, so. So here's the site, White Oak and Maple Elementary Schools. Again, the CSX rail yards to the south, to the west of it is Avon Avenue, north is US 36, just to give you some context. Here's the, just the site layout and a traffic circulation plan that you received in your packet. Again, this is White Oak School. This is going to be remodeled, no addition. Maple Elementary, the existing building is this. This portion is the addition. And this is what would kick this project into losing its grandfathered status. Nothing else is changing on the site. They're doing a little bit of parking reconfiguration, and then they're changing the circulation pattern. For our purposes, though, they're just requesting a variance because it's two principal uses on one lot, and our ordinance doesn't allow that. So just the findings are the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The strict application of the Avon zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties. The variance requested is the minimum necessary, and the need for the variance is not caused by the owner. All of these criteria were discussed in my staff report. So the reasons for staff's recommendation for approval is contained in the staff report. And that's my presentation. So if you have any questions for staff, I can take those now.
All right, thank you, Jody. So yeah, we'll open it up if any of the board has questions for staff at this time.
If not, I think the appellant's here to, if they want to add anything.
Okay, yeah, we'll turn it over to the appellant.
Hi, this is Scott Wyndham. I'm Assistant Superintendent with Avon Schools. First, I just wanted to thank you for having this special meeting. We have a pretty tight timeline with our construction because we need to have this construction project completed for the start of the 21-22 school year. So we did not account for coronavirus in our timeline. So we certainly appreciate you all being flexible and having this meeting to approve this waiver. Consider this waiver. Maple was built in 1971, White Oak in 1963, long before these variances or these requirements were in place. So we're certainly glad to work with the town to make any changes we need to, but appreciate you considering this waiver to allow us to keep on our timeline to get these construction projects completed for our students. And we've got our design team here as well, our architect, civil engineer, and landscape architect. So we're certainly glad to answer any other questions that you have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wyndham. We will open up to the board here for questions for the appellant at this time. All right, I think I see heads shaking no. So now we will give this a shot for opening up for our public comments. We will open those up at 6:15. And so I will wait to see if we have any comments or any questions.
I should make a note at this time as well that there is no one physically present here at the meeting. So there are no comments from the public here.
Want to make sure we give plenty of time for anyone who might be online. So
Yeah.
we'll give it about another 60 seconds or so.
Yeah, so far you guys have nobody who's posted a question online.
All right, we'll give just a couple more seconds here.
Yeah, you guys still have nothing online.
Thank you. Oops.
All right, and one final check. Any questions that we might have online?
You still have none.
Okay. Then I think we will go ahead and close the public portion at 6:50, or I'm sorry, 6:17. And at this time, we'll open it up to the board if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts.
I agree with staff's findings on the criterions that all have been met.
All right. Not hearing any other comments or questions and after reading through the board report. So at this time, we'll take any motions that we might have.
Charles, I'd like to make a motion that we approve variance 20-01, a variance of development standard to allow more than one building on a single lot as having satisfied all the requirements for the variances under state law and subject to approved findings of fact.
All right. And if we have a second,
Para Schaefer, I will second.
Thank you.
all right, then Jody, if you'll do the roll call vote.
Ms. Shaver,
4.
Ms. Inman, Ms. Inman,
4,
thank you. Mr. Guckenberger,
4.
Mr. Bischoff,
4.
and Mr. Herbert.
4.
Thank you. The motion does carry. That is all the business that we have for this special BZA meeting. We will adjourn this BZA meeting and we need to open a special plan commission meeting at 6:30. And then we're going to come back to the regular BZA meeting at 7 o'clock where we have minutes and then one item, Gibbs Park. So thank you all, and I will see you at 7. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And we'll adjourn at 6:19.